The Republicans are in charge of the Senate. What does that mean for America? What does that mean for you?
Yeah, here once again joining us to help us better understand the new direction our country is going to be headed in with these changes following the election. We have our own political analyst here in studio with us. Quin Hillyer, thank you for joining us again. We were just chatting about how social media has played a role in this election, and I have a question for you on Twitter. This is from someone with the handle of Soldier Story, a former an Army veteran, who says there were measures like right to hunt, right to bear arms. That's constitutional, so why was it on the ballot here locally?
Well, because it was a state constitutional amendment, which means everybody in the state votes on it. And so we're Alabamians. We get to vote on what our basic charter says.
And this is where social media comes into play, because you can ask a question and get the answer directly from an expert if you're not quite sure. And many of you have taken to social media. Another question for you coming from Willie Curry, who says, I don't really understand the right to hunt amendment to the Constitution. Why was it needed, and is it overkill?
Some people think that it was at least mildly redundant because most of that right has already been accepted in the Alabama Constitution. On the other hand, some people think that you really need to be explicit, sort of beat the judges over the head with the fact that it said, this is what it says, this is what we mean. So it's just one more level of protection for that right.
I'd like to ask you something about the future. We're looking at 2016, and we'll have a presidential election and some other congressional races in, I assume. But how is this going to affect those races? Because now we have Congress controlled by Republicans. There still is a president that can veto, which means they have to have 2/3 a vote to overrule the president's veto in both chambers. What happens if this gridlock continues? Will it benefit anyone in the 2016 election? Does this have to stop to make any progress anywhere at all for either party?
It depends on what bills they actually are able to put on the president's desk. Right now, everything has been tied up between the House and the Senate, and it was hard for most voters to figure out on whom to place the blame. Now, if you get a bill through both houses, which presumably you'll get a lot more because it's now going to be Republican controlled entirely, it will be a starker contrast. They put the bill on the president's desk, it's either the president or the Republican Congress, and so everybody will know who did what and whose fault or credit gets
But if it's just a credit or blame thing, are we right back where we were? Where we're not, well, let's just go ahead and play that blame game and we're not going to get anything done. Will there be genuine compromise in Washington, D.C. to try to get some of these things done, whatever these things are, and what will the Republicans push for first?
Well, I talked to Steve Scalise, the number 3 ranking Republican in the House yesterday. I spent some time with him. He's from the Gulf Coast, from Louisiana. And he said in addition to some energy bills, which the president might veto, they do plan to push some things that he doesn't think the president will dare veto, like making the president live up to his pledge that anybody who wants their doctor or their health plan can keep them under Obamacare. They will actually put legislation that says, regardless of other provisions of Obamacare, if you have existing coverage, you can keep it. It cannot be ruled that it's not good enough or whatever the feds say. That is something, if they put it on his desk, he will probably feel obliged to sign, and a lot of people on both sides will be happy.
No effort to repeal Obamacare?
There will be an effort, but he will veto an overall effort to throw it out.
And they know that.
But they'll do this piecemeal thing where they'll take parts of it and put it on his desk, and he will at least probably sign some of those partial measures.
Quin Hillyer, we appreciate you joining us and helping us understand, muddle through all this. Really is a lot going on. The now what factor is wait and see.
Thank you, Kel.
Thank you so very much.
Thank you, Dr.
Stay with us. We're